Welcome to the gold standard, Making Millions with Malia, the place to be for conscious CEOs and light leaders who know that they have an enormous mission that requires millions to fuel it. I am your host, Jennifer Longmore, Clear Channel for Mother Malia, along with being a long-standing 8-figure CEO, investor, and board advisor who is committed to creating as many conscious millionaires as I can in this lifetime, and to debunk the broke healer paradigm that tells you it is not benevolent to make millions doing spirit-led work. We are in the midst of individual and collective ascension, and as we ascend, so must the way that we do business and money as light leaders. That is what this show is all about. So tune in now and find out why we are ranked in the top 5% of global podcasts and why savvy CEOs just like you binge our show each week and share it as a high-value resource with their communities. Now let's dive into today's Making Millions broadcast. Hello and welcome back to the Gold Standard podcast, Making Millions with Mother Malia. As you know, I am Mother Malia, and it is my great joy and honor to be here with you today. So today I want to talk to you about scaling, and in particular, how to scale the 3 keys that you need to scale a personal brand. Now, I am about to record various podcasts for you on how to scale various types of business models. So if this does not apply to you, but you still would like to listen, of course, and perhaps share it with other people, please do. But know that I have got you, so to speak, and I will get to your business model in another episode. But for now, I would love to talk about how to scale a personal brand and the considerations that you want to take into account. And so here is the thing with a personal brand. As you know, when we are scaling, scale and leverage are very different. Leverage is when, for example, in a personal brand, you are pretty tapped out with selling your one-on-one time, or maybe you're just not interested in selling it at all anymore. And so with a personal brand, you might be leveraged by way of having group programs or a certification program, or you might even have associate coaches that help you deliver the information and so on. That is leverage. But in order to scale, the business, and any business, needs to be able to survive without you for several months without taking a hit financially, I will say. It shall be able to at least maintain its income, but definitely not take a hit. You see, if you cannot take time away from your business for 3 months without having some financial fallout, then you are running a liability. You are not running a business. And I do not say that, of course, from a place of judgment. It is simply how business is, because you see, if that is how you are being provided for financially, and it can't do it without you being in the business 24/7, I will say, then it is a liability. Especially because in scale, the one thing that we would like to always consider is, if I were to sell this, now many of you will not, just as I will not be selling my company, but I have to build it as though I am going to sell it, because I have to know what actually allows it to hold value. And I have to know what allows it to keep paying me even in the event that I need to take a hiatus away from the business for whatever host of reasons might come up. And so that is the spirit in which we look at the scale. Is it able to keep surviving without you? Can it keep going up and up and up? Could you eventually, let's say you decided that you needed to take a break, or that you only needed to be sort of the face of the brand, but have, let's say, a CEO come in and run it. Could they run it effectively and have it make even more money without you at the helm of the CEO chair? That is how you know you have really done a wonderful job, okay? And so I will let you know that very few people are able to do this successfully. I don't mean that you will not be one of them. It is just to say that in concept, this sounds perhaps like I'm saying it is just going to be easy, but most people don't know how. If they knew how, I know that they will be making different decisions. So let's dive in. One of the pros, I will say, of having a personal brand is that you get to talk about whatever you want. We can think of all kinds of people. Some people for a personal brand, they focus on beauty and they're always doing their makeup and their hair, etc. Maybe they have tutorials. It is all revolving around their appearance. And of course, there's no judgment around that. There's a very easy way to scale that type of personal brand. Some, maybe they are authors, some are maybe, TV personalities, etc. If you think of who's on TV right now, they have, whether they started out that way or not, they had to build a personal brand. Even a lot of people, by the way, that create product-based companies, like let's say Susie Batiste of Poopery, very smart marketing campaign when she first came on the market because it was such a funny commercial, wasn't it? It got shared. It went viral because it was so funny. It inspired people to share the video. And that is a story for another day. But the point is that nobody knew who the founder of Poopery was. But then she realized, oh, I need to create a personal brand. I need to write a book. I need to start going and speaking on stages. And you will see many people do that. So it is not that you just need to have a sort of one thing, but definitely product-based business or a product division, I will even say, can go very nicely with a personal brand. That being said, whatever you stand for, whatever you want to make you sort of the product, when you're a personal brand, you are the product. So how are you going to sell and market that product? And so you get to talk about whatever you want. And oftentimes, by the way, it is the things that are just meant to be for fun, that maybe it is just for a gag even, that all of a sudden turns into something very remarkable. Now, the con, so to speak, of having a personal brand is that, and this is what I have seen over the years in my 20 years of business and just mentoring so many people, is that if you stick with the same message, even when you have outgrown it, the business income can cap if you have lost the passion. I don't recommend, using the term throwing out the baby with the bathwater because there are ways to do it. Sometimes it is about having a CEO just come in and say, look, I've taken it as far as I can go. Please take it to the next level. Sometimes it is that you just need to find different ways to be passionate about selling the same thing because if that is how people have come to know you and it is still working, the only reason it caps is if you say, oh, this is kind of boring me. And then it almost brings in an energetic wet blanket into the company. Of course, the company can still make money, but it might plateau. And so that is kind of the workaround for that. But the other thing is, I will see with personal brands is they say, well, I used to be, let's say, I will just say for ease, a dating coach. And now I have just outgrown that topic. And now I want to help people make more money. We see this a lot where people will be a personal brand about something for a really, really long time and then they just outgrow the topic. And there's nothing wrong with that. Some of us in our human design are wired for that, to just have variety. Some of us just have such significant life changes that perhaps something that used to seem important to us just does not seem so important to us. And perhaps this new thing, like let's say for ease, that a personal trainer. And then you go through a journey where you unfortunately get really sick. Let's say that you get breast cancer. All of a sudden, that whole journey is such a intense journey. And there are many snafus that you discover along the way, and you say, this was terrible. I will never want another woman to have to go through what I'm going to go through. I am going to now shift from being a personal trainer into being a cancer recovery coach or something, I'm just making that up, where you literally are holding their hand through the process. You are telling them the questions that they need to ask to get better health care. You are helping them advocate for being a greater priority with the doctor, whatever it might be. It could be that in comparison, you say getting your muscle, developing toned shoulders seems so minuscule in comparison to now someone's life or death. I just simply can't do that work anymore because I'm just so passionate about this. That is where we might see that. Sometimes we just outgrow things, but regardless, when we really dramatically change the message of our personal brand, we also need to just own the cause and effect of that. There is nothing wrong with that, of course, but naturally, many people will fall away. Some people will stay just because they, love anything you put out. But if it's not relevant to them, especially if they don't have cancer, for example, that I just used, or whatever the situation is, or maybe you used to be a sole purpose coach and now you've decided to be an alcohol recovery coach. Well, people don't have a drinking issue. Of course, they're not going to subscribe to your emails anymore because it's not relevant to them. So the key is to not take it personally if you shift your message, and not worry about losing people, because we don't ever lose anyone. People, even if they still need your message, might feel the need to leave your community anyways. And so we always want to be putting ourselves in front of new audiences, because we have to account for attrition anyway, simply for the health of the business, regardless of the business, by the way. But if you change the message, then we don't need to panic about people moving on, because we simply can create a plan to invite new people in and just get very clear on the messaging about who am I marketing to now. And so that is the big thing. You simply have to re-educate your existing community, and then of course a new markets, I will say, about what you are doing now, but very, very doable. So this is what I see with a personal brand. Now, in order to scale it with ease, the first thing you want to consider, and this is a big, big, big one, is that you are the brand, you are the product. So really resisting visibility is going to make it very challenging to scale this type of business model. We have to, as a personal brand, be willing to be misunderstood. The only thing people can attack is you, whether or not it's even relevant. If they attack your appearance, it does not mean it's true. If they attack your character, it does not mean it's true. If you were Walmart, they would simply post on social media, for example, Walmart is terrible, Walmart did this to me, because they don't often remember who the founder is of Walmart. But when you are the personal brand, it is the equivalent. It is not even so much personal. Of course, it feels personal. So this is why, because you always need to be visible, ads, a high-level network, and a high-level referral partnerships, authority positioning by way of podcasts, books, etc., will be very, very important, because we have to keep you relevant and we have to keep you in the spotlight. And so a little tip I will say as well is that this is very important for you to have a plan, I will say, for how to manage your energy, how to, perhaps you even have a coach by your side that simply helps you manage your frequency, your mindset, things like that. The second way to scale a personal brand is to understand that your IP holds value. So your IP will be your methods that are unique to you. You have a unique way that you help people, for example. Some might call it a certification, some might call it a method, some might call it licensing, but creating an asset that you can sell, not because you're going to, but creating it from that place of, if I sold this, would a complete unknown entity be able to still make money off of this IP, off of this method, off of this license, off of this whatever? Because although it is created by you, it is repeatable, and or it's very easily, I will say, private labeled, for lack of a better way of putting it. So this also means, of course, having trademarks and really protecting it, because there's no point in creating IP and building a whole system if you're also not going to be the steward of it and advocate for it. And I realize that can feel a little bit weird. Sadly, for example, I've had to already initiate the process for Mother Malia, because as soon as I came out to my community, already someone bought the domain mothermalia.com. Right. So that is when I said, oh, I don't really want to do sort of old business, but as I'm on this connecting flight, naturally, I'm going to have to protect my name. This is the world we are living in. This is why I am here in part, and why you are here in part as well, right? To have it be such that we are no longer out to get and to take, and that we are restoring heaven on earth, basically. As you are expanding your reach, let's say through your methodology, through your certification, through your licensing, when you have other people spreading it too, this is why you're not just making money off of selling the methodology, but you're making money off of having recurring revenue, where people maybe have to have an annual subscription, or they need to be paying you something to maintain their license, to maintain their certification, to be listed in a directory, however you are going to work it. So you really want to consider, okay, great, well, I'm going to sell this, but how am I going to keep making sales from one piece of IP, from one license, from one method, etc.? And you might also find that as a result, you might need to shapeshift into a hybrid agency model, I will say, where you will have either within your personal brand, you will have an agency model, or you will just create a second company where you have perhaps junior associates that serve your people because you literally have no more bandwidth to serve clients in close proximity containers, for example. Or hybrid licensing model where people pay you a recurring revenue or to private label, etc. You know, we see a lot of people with personal brands private label their methodology to, let's say, corporations. Maybe it is about productivity. I'm just making that up. Well, of course, corporations are going to eat that up. We often see this with leadership as well. You know, as leadership styles evolve, we see that people might sell their leadership IP methodology to corporations and let them brand it themselves if it is a very large corporation. And then they just pay for the licensing of that year after year. Now, another thing is you might end up becoming a hybrid product-based model where you have a division within your big company, or you create a separate company that, of course, is attached to your brand, where you are selling books, you are selling oils. I'm just making this up. You are selling Oracle decks. You are selling journals. You are selling supplements, you know, whatever you might feel guided to pull together. But there are many ways to keep making money from this. The beauty of the products is that when we can take you out of it, so to speak, you know, let's say you create some sort of, well, yes, let's take supplements for a moment. Let's say you are a personal trainer and you've decided to create supplements to help build muscle quicker. Well, that is something that doesn't even need your name attached to it. It is something that you can also private label. I mean, there are various possibilities. So I will park it there for now because the purpose of today's podcast is to show you how and what to keep in mind when you are considering scaling a personal brand, where you're considering moving beyond leverage. Now, the third thing is really focusing on relationship currency. So that means your referral partners. That also means taking exemplary care of your community because you are the product. They always need to be sold on you. So this means that you get to decide how much of your personal life do you wish to share with them? How much are you going to let people have insider access to your day-to-day life? It is not necessary, by the way. Many people will tell you it is. It is not necessary, but you want to kind of feel out the vibe. So if you are a playful, goofy, you know, dancy kind of personality, that needs to reflect in your brand. That's what people have come to expect. They don't expect to come to your page and see you griping, for example, about other coaches. They don't expect you to be talking about politics on your page all the time. There's nothing wrong with that. But, well, I don't recommend, of course, bashing other people. That just reflects on you, sadly, as you well know. I know you get this. But politics and such, yes, of course, when we build a platform, many will tell you it is your responsibility to use it to spread good. But if you are also aware of what is happening in the world, there are many, I will say, psyops and other very intentionally orchestrated dramas on the world stage that are not true. And so it can be a little bit bumpy now to speak into very important issues when we know that they are also heavily manipulated a lot of times, you know, the wars and so on. And again, nothing wrong with that. It's just that if we are going to use our platform to speak to things we are passionate about or to call out injustices, we also then just have to, like anything we put out into the world, own the cause and effect of the fact that some people might come at you for that. They might unsubscribe. They might do whatever. That is why, going back to point number one of what you really need to consider with scaling, is that you are the brand, and it's going to be very, very important for you to fortify yourself so that you are unwavering as you speak your truth and as you transmit your very unique frequencies out into the world. So like I said, if you are very playful, sort of goofy or whimsical, that is what people come to expect. If you are a truth teller and you just tell it straight, that is what people come to expect, right? And so we just want to stay on brand as much as we can. So with all of that in mind, I know there's obviously so much more, but I don't know your business. I don't know some of the nuances, but this is sort of the high level things to consider as you're moving from leverage to scaling your personal brand, again, for the purpose of scaling beyond 7 figures. You can scale a personal brand all the way up to billions of dollars if you will like. It is very possible. That is the beauty of this. It's a matter of taking these things into consideration and saying, who is going to be on my team to support this? What are the conditions that I'm going to create in my inner world and my outer world for this to be easy and effortless? So if you know that you cannot take time away from your business without it kind of taking a dip or perhaps even a massive hit to your income, if you are feeling bottlenecked again, you're feeling, that crunchy feeling like your energetic clothes are too tight in your business, that feeling where it's time to grow, but you just can't. That's a good sign you are bottlenecked. Then I will love to invite you to consider 2 things. One is my brand new Scale Mastermind, which is a very intimate mastermind with high achievers that are making at least a consistent 5-figure months and are ready to scale into 6-figure months or even higher very quickly. And it is 12 weeks together. It is a very, very high touch container. And so if that is something that speaks to you, then I highly recommend that you message me. If you want even more undivided attention and you want to get there even quicker, then certainly we can chat about one-to-one options to make sure that, of course, that is going to be of high service for where you are at. And so in either event, whether you wish to join this very premium scaling mastermind or very intimate, I shall say, scaling mastermind, where we are very results focused, or one-on-one, of course, which is also results focused, then either message me on social media or email my team, clientcare@souljourneys.ca. And we will reach out with more information and really explore, because I will, of course, want to make sure that whatever it is we might do together is going to be of highest service to you and your business. So with all of that in mind, I hope this was of high service to you today. If it was, I would love to hear from you about what you're taking away. And if you feel that others can benefit from this, I would greatly appreciate you sharing it, because I am really here on a mission to support as many conscious CEOs as possible in scaling beyond 7 figures so that we can really fuel our sacred calling, our sacred mission, and be on this planet enjoying heaven on earth the way that it was always intended. So thank you for being here today. It is my great joy and honor to be here with you, and I look forward to seeing you next time.
Thanks for listening. Before you go, if you would like to have a chance to have your name and business featured on the Gold Standard podcast, hop on over to where you listen to this podcast and leave a review. If you're selected, you'll have your name and business featured on our show. And in the meantime, we wish you tons of financial blessings, and we'll see you soon for the next Making Millions transmission from Mother Malia.